Hello everyone and welcome back to the movie room. My name is Declan and this is my review for Just Mercy.
You don't know what you're into down here in Alabama when you're guilty from the moment you're born.
God.
Mr. McMillan.
We done here.
Mr. McMillan, please.
So Just Mercy tells the story of Brian Stevenson, who is a world-renowned civil rights defense attorney who decides to take on the case of a man who is wrongly accused and now lies on death row. Now, Just Mercy caught my attention due to the talent involved, with Michael B. Jordan and Jamie Foxx in the lead roles, and with Destin Daniel Cretton directing. And for me, Destin Daniel Cretton is a director who I've not really explored all that much. I'd really like to, especially with a film like Short Term 12. That is a movie I really want to see. I've heard only wonderful things about. But also recently, he's been involved in a lot bigger news because it was announced he's actually going to be taking on the Marvel Studios production Shang-Chi, which will be releasing in 2021, which is actually, if you guys don't know, my most anticipated Marvel movie of Phase 4. So I was interested to see what Destin Daniel Cretton was able to do with his filmography, given the fact that he's going to be diving into, big summer blockbusters in a couple of years. So I wanted to take a look back at what he was going to do, and when I heard that he had a new movie coming out, I was definitely interested. So how was Destin as a director? Well, I think he does a very good job of handling this movie. His direction here is particularly subtle and very understated, and I think that it really lends itself well to this story and what it was trying to do. This story is a real one, it's an emotional one, and it's a gut-punching one. And I think that that kind of story that it's trying to tell and this particular style of film doesn't lend itself to any particular flashy kind of directing. And I think that Destin Daniel Cretton really does a good job of kind of just telling the story in a way that feels respectful and feels honourable to the people involved. And I really love that about it. And I think that this film, it's a very quiet movie, it's a very peaceful movie in a way, in the sense of how it's handled. While the source material isn't particularly peaceful in any way, shape, or form, the movie itself is very peaceful, and I think a lot of that comes down from the restrained style from directing. Also, what I really liked about Just Mercy was the script, because in particular, the courtroom scenes in this movie were really well written in my opinion, because a lot of courtroom drama films can be quite convoluted and the audience can get rather lost in all of it because of all the particular dialogue and the particular kind of language that's used in courtrooms, which granted, yes, it's realistic, but sometimes for some audiences it can be a little bit confusing, and I know that some people do get very confused within courtroom dramas, and even me myself can get a little bit lost sometimes. And what I really appreciated about Just Mercy was that it was really able to just kind of tell the facts and just get to the point, and you could follow the drama as it was unfolding within the scene itself. You didn't have to have any kind of interpreter with you. You didn't have to kind of really think about the dialogue to understand what was being said. You completely got it. You were on board, and you're able just to stick along with the story and stay with it for the entire runtime, and those courtroom scenes in particular really stood out. And sticking with the script, the emotion in this movie was insane. I think that this film has some really, really heart-pulling emotional stuff. There's one scene in particular which I won't go into detail about here, but it involves something happening to a prisoner within the prison that Jamie Foxx's character is locked up in. And that scene just hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, that scene was so hard-hitting. It was truly, truly gut-wrenching. I couldn't believe what I was watching. It was shocking. It was emotional. It was sad. It was heartbreaking. And I think that the script, in that particular moment, the music in that moment, it just all blended together to create this incredibly emotional scene that I definitely am not going to forget for a long time. And I just mentioned him before, but I'll mention him again here. Jamie Foxx, I think, as the prisoner who's on death row, I think was phenomenal. Now, Jamie Foxx as an actor is one that I really like. I know some people don't particularly like him all that much. There are some people who do, some people who don't. I love Jamie Foxx. I mean, my love for him kind of started in Collateral. I loved him in Collateral, and I've kind of loved him ever since then. And for me, his role here is just so brilliant. I loved his performance because he felt angry, he felt betrayed, but he had this underlying level of sadness because he comes from this huge family and he was taken away from them, and being wrongly accused for a crime that he did not commit. And you could feel that all from his performance. You could feel this emotion. Just looking through his eyes, you could tell that there was just a lot of emotion, and there was a lot going on behind those eyes that you just really wanted to delve into. It was a really interesting character that you could tell, for his life, he'd been battling with racism and prejudice all his life, and it all just kind of unfolded on top of him with this event. And I think that Jamie Foxx does a really good job of conveying that to the audience and really making you feel for his character. Now, moving over to the negatives for me, Michael B. Jordan is the reason why this movie, I think, has a lot of low and slow moments. I think the film has incredibly low energy, and most of that comes from Michael B. Jordan, his performance on screen. For me personally, and I know this is a hot take, I personally don't think Michael B. Jordan is that strong of an actor. I think that he's very good at playing young and charismatic characters, such as, even though I know the movie is absolutely hot trash, but Fantastic Four, his role as the Human Torch, I actually quite liked him there. But anytime he tries to do something serious, I just think he's incredibly bland. And I think that that is true with Just Mercy as well, especially because he is at the forefront of this movie and he is in the majority of the scenes. That low energy can mostly be contributed to his performance. I feel like that a lot of it comes through as stale, as incredibly bored, and I feel like that, I'm not saying he was bored, I'm sure he was incredibly passionate about the film, but it's just his performance and his acting range I don't think is that wide. And I think that his performance in this movie, while it gets the job done and he does what it needs to do, it's just not enough to really make it a standout performance and make him worthy of, any particular acclaim. I think that, his role in something like Creed works because even though I don't think he's the strongest in Creed as Adonis Creed, I think that movie has so many other things going on in it that it kind of can add to that performance, whereas this is a very performance-based film. So with him being incredibly weak straight in the center of it, it creates quite a big problem as the movie is such a low energy and such a slow movie at times and almost unengaging, and that's because of his unengaging performance. And I know that's a hot take, I know everyone loves Michael B, and he seems like a lovely guy in real life. From what I've seen of him, he seems lovely, and there's nothing against him. I just don't think he's a particularly strong actor in the majority of the films that he's done, and I think Just Mercy is another one to that list, unfortunately. And it's strange in saying that too, because I've also seen him in a film like Fruitvale Station, which I absolutely love. That movie is one of the most emotional films I've ever seen in my life, and his performance in that, I think, is great. So Michael B is just such a hit or miss actor for me. There are some roles of him I really like, there are others I don't. Just Mercy, unfortunately, was just one that didn't click with me. Overall, though, for me, Just Mercy was a really emotional story and a really emotional film that I really engaged with. I think that Just Mercy has a lot of going for it, with the direction and the majority of the performances, especially Jamie Foxx and Tim Blake Nelson in particular is really good in this. Brie Larson's really good in this. Of course, re-teaming with Destin after many movies done together. It's just, unfortunately, Michael B is a bit of the weak link here, and he does bring a lot of the movie down as a lot of it really rests on his shoulders. But if you're able to look past that and you're able just to get on board with him, and to be honest, I'm sure a lot of you will, just because, again, a lot of people really like Michael B. I think there's a lot to love about this movie, and I think you'll really appreciate what it has to do and what it has to say, and I think that Just Mercy was a really great film. I probably might actually end up seeing it again, and I think that this film, as a way to kick off 2020, not a bad start. So have you guys seen Just Mercy? If you have, make sure to let me know all your thoughts about it in the comment section down below. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And as always, if you want to see more movie reviews and movie related videos from the movie room just like this, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss an upload. And I hope to see you guys again next time.